Greetings and God bless. So I have been noticing that animal attacks lately. If you just look up taking bites out of their birds, and so there's shark attacks, but of course it's summertime, and one could say maybe it's habitat disruption. So, it was a couple weeks ago, a bear just attacked a man who was just sitting at his campsite. um, but I've been seeing a lot of dog attacks in America. There's a lot of reports coming from India as well. And just because other countries are not necessarily finding their way into American news media doesn't mean that there's not other animal attacks going on. But I'm seeing a good number in the U.S. and um, mostly India, uh, and and Australia as well. So and it doesn't seem like the dog attacks are happening in like Chicago or New York or whatever. It seems it's maybe a bit more rural, or in the south of like in the southern part of America. Like today, I just saw one, a pack of five stray dogs attacked a man, dragged him 25 feet from the original point of the attack, and it looks like they mauled him so badly the man might not be able to use his arms and legs. And the man was just walking to his brother's house because his car needed to jump. So it was just summertime. The guy had on his hat and sunglasses. So, I have friends who go for a walk. I go for walks. And so it's just interesting to note, like, so as somebody who's a pedestrian, like I'll be walking to a store, to the laundromat or something like that, and people will leave their dogs out who are crazy angry, like just snarling, and you're 2 blocks away and they're barking because you're walking by. And I've known people who love that their dogs do this. I've known people who think that they're protecting their house by having dogs terrorize anybody who walks within any proximity. And I don't think that's right. I don't think a terrified homeowner deserves to terrorize anybody else who walks around there. And I think there's like two kinds of people in the United States, and the majority are those who live in their cars. They just expect everybody to be in their cars. They expect to be in their cars, and they could care less about the safety of pedestrians. And then there's a small percentage of people who are pedestrians, and that will also respect the safety of other pedestrians. And what I find is like these entitled car people in America, they're going to take their trips to Italy or Germany or whatever, Japan, and enjoy the public transportation and do all this walking. They'll walk more, 10 times more than they ever walk at home. Like, it's very bizarre unless you're in like New York and San Francisco. And I mean New York City, Manhattan. Then everybody is a little bit more open to walking. But yeah, it's really messed up because the car mentality, it really is against pedestrians. And I know how easy it is to be seduced into a mentality of entitlement and a mentality of willful ignorance, that you just don't even have a second of a thought, no glimmer of conscience. And unfortunately, that is a lot of automobile people, owners. And I bother my friends and acquaintances because I'm always talking about the difficulties of being a pedestrian. And these are nice people. A lot of people who drive cars are nice people, but they just could care less about pedestrians. And what is even more bizarre is these people who drive cars, 2, 3 family cars, households. They're flying to Timbuktu. They're always visiting family, always flying. These are the people who are the most rabid environmentalists, climate change people, psychos. These are the people who are up for, everybody has to suffocate, everybody has to get nasally raped, everybody has to get their blood raped by the globalists, to save the climate. Everybody's got to get their child or grandchild's mutilated for the, it's so incredibly hypocritical. Like, what is going on? And if you ask, and the funny thing is, who's hard on the planet? Those very people. The people who are hard on the planet are these leftist communists who actually have a bunch of cars, they have a bunch of kids and grandkids, they have a large home, they're doing all this national and international travel on an airplane. These are not people who are staying in one place, staying within like 20 blocks of their location. You know who's the least hard on the planet? It's the homeless, drug addict, fentanyl person that's rotting on your sidewalk. That person, those people are the least hard on the planet. The illegals who walked all the way from here, from wherever, you know, they're the least. But who's the biggest? It's people in cars, and I would say it's these progressive liberals, because conservatives are not necessarily jet setting everywhere and going to Thailand. Like, conservatives are like, they're home and they're making pie and they're spending time with their church and their family and maybe donating to a missionary or something like that. But it's just this incredible hypocrisy and double standard that I find of the communist left in America, the progressive left. And so, and yet, conservatives have bought into the mainstream narrative. And so what I'm wondering, though, about getting back to these animal attacks, because it seems like across the board, I'll meet conservatives who think, they have the infection or the lung infection. I know highly informed alternative health kind of people who think they have the infection, the lung infection, or that they've had it multiple times. So, no matter how educated or how unplugged from the propaganda, it seems like everybody bought into it because there's all this social cachet. There's all this like, oh, you had it? You're in the club? You're so special. Oh, tell me about it. Like, it's so stomach turning to me how people are proud of having been sick. Now, like, when I talk about chronic Lyme, I'm like, oh wow, you know a little bit about Lyme. Like, so few people know about it. And I really can't say that there's like a social cachet for having chronic Lyme or chronic fatigue or brain fog or whatever. Like, people will talk about, yeah, I have brain fog too, and so it's like this discovery kind of vibe, right? But with the CV, man, oh my gosh, it's like you have $1 million or something like that. Like, you're valuable because you've had this phantom experience. So my question, I'm sorry I'm taking so long. I got to change the title, so I'll just tell what I'm trying to get to is, um, are those who are attacked by otters and sharks and bears and packs of dogs across the world, have they been injected? Because from what I understand, so there's all so this technology that is put inside, um, it alters, it has a purpose, right? Just look up the websites and YouTube. You look up the websites. All I'm saying is this is a technology. That's what they called it, right? So if you look at what all the people who the trusted agents of the public good said, the scientists that built it and whatever. This is a technology. And I'm wondering, and people have speculated, are these animals sensing something threatening from those who have this technology? Because, like, if you look at the patents for the ingredients, excuse me, of the injection, if you look at the patents, there's interesting things in there. Now, there's all sorts of things that are in other kind of inoculations, like real inoculations, that have been a concern to some people, like heavy metals or fetal cells. And I'm trying to just carefully say things. Hopefully, it's not. I mean, it's facts. It's stuff that we know, but for some reason, Big Brother doesn't like even stuff that certain government websites say. I mean, I can't even say the name of certain government websites because I'm like, is that gonna upset Big Brother for me to mention the government website? Soon you can't say the word YouTube because it'll get you into trouble, because you're saying something that's real. Like, do I have to talk about ghosts in order for me not to offend anybody? It's like you can't say anything that's real or else you're going to get censored. But so anyways, I just think it's a cause for concern if you have this technology, because, like, we have heard that some animals can see things. Like, I've heard some people's pets no longer like their owners after they got the injection. Now, even before the injections were rolled out, I wondered if there was like an invasion of the body snatchers or like a Stepford Wives scenario that has occurred. I know it's a crazy idea. It's a very science fiction idea. But I'm like, who are these people in my family? Who are these people in my lifelong old friends group who would never, never, ever have tolerated the totalitarianism that is today? Like, they were radical, you know, um, activists, you know, that were truly about justice. And now they're like these prostitutes for the man or something like that. And I'm like, how did these people's values, these strongly held fundamental values, change so completely that they are, when they were about freedom, when we were teens, now they're like, no, you give up freedom for the government. Like, it's just like they're doing the exact opposite, and they don't even realize it. They think because government functionaries are gender altered or people of color, they think that just because somebody has an appearance that's different, that they're noble. And the funny thing is like Joe Biden is the whitest guy in the room. Like, so, like, how he does sketchy things with little children right in front of people, and people are like, oh, but that's my. I mean, I had a friend. I'm telling you for a fact, I had a friend who was haunted by the incest in her childhood, and like being violated by a family member or a close family friend and being invalidated, it breaks you. Like, you don't function optimally. And not that she talked about it all the time, but we, over 20, 30 years that we knew each other, we'd always be sharing about different healing processes that we were trying to figure out and try to use. And and it was to trying to heal this exposure. But she literally told me that Biden is her pedo. So, like, when somebody who has been a survivor of pedophilia, non-consensual, you know, and they're saying, "Well, it's okay for this guy to violate some children I don't know." Like, it's clear to me people do not have integrity. They don't realize how evil that is. They don't realize how wrong that is. And that's why I'm like, has invasion of the body snatchers happened? Have my friends and family been turned into the Stepford Wives robots? And are domestic and wild animals perceiving this in regarding these new alien robots as a threat and attacking them? I don't know. I mean, and of course, is there something in the injections that's growing inside and changing the smell of the people, and that's why wild animals and dogs are attacking? I mean, and if you look at reports, like dogs that are familiar to, like, the family pet is killing people or attacking family members. And this is from children to adults, like family members and people in the community. And this is a lot. I mean, every week I'm like, I'm trying not to look anymore because it's just it's horrific. It's horrific. And uh I mean, I think it's a sign of the times biblically. So, if you're injected, be careful if there's wild dogs around or if there's wild animals around. Um, and if you're not injected, I am also wondering, did those animals get injected? So, because vets are doing the injections, like everybody's just injection happy. So, and of course, I mean, I know that in zoos, animals were getting injected. And who knows if biologists are doing these injections to wild animals, because there's all this funding for this phenomenon of this phantom infection. So, were the family was the family pet injected, and did that cause, because that cause the attack? And we're noticing there's a lot. It seems that there's a lot more people acting up. I noticed this firsthand when here in Denver taking the bus, and I don't know if it's Denver's altitude. I don't know if it's Denver's like pollution. Um, I definitely think there's something about the drug use here in Denver, that it's like this drug magnet. So druggies, I mean, it's just it's ghastly. It's horrific. Um, and I know people love Denver, people love Colorado. God bless you. You know, to have it. I don't want to be here. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of here. But so I know that the drugs, and if we're drinking wastewater, so from what I understand is sewage is treated and it's made into our drinking water. So sewage is not, when sewage is being treated, the technology is not up to scale to get rid of all the fentanyl that's in the sewage, that's getting rid of all the tranquilizer that's in the sewage, that's getting rid of all the pot. Like, they've got this concentrated resin that's sold as pot. It's not the leafy stuff. It's like some weird concentrate that you burn with like a blowtorch. It's just disgusting. It's depraved. Like I uh like, okay, you got a plant, you do something with a plant. Like, to me, that's, you know, I can tolerate that. But to make this industrial grade drug, um and people don't realize, it's a deal with the devil, like, like Denver. I think like drugs in Denver, if you have a drug problem, you do not want to be in Denver because it will eat you alive. And there's other cities that will eat you alive, but not like Denver. Like you won't like you'll it's like this persistent um like near death experience. I mean, maybe people die quicker in other cities, but here you'll see young people, young, I don't know, they look like they're 18, 20 years old, but they are complete wrecks, no shoes. Like the homeless situation, like I'm in my early 50s and I grew up in New York City. I've lived in major cities because I don't know how to drive, so I'm always living in a city. And how like dealing with homeless people, providing you know, like homeless people in my life always had shoes, even when they were whacked out and crazy. Like their apparel was they had pants on, um, and they just weren't uh, so uh, full of sores and um, so neurologically twitchy and screamy and yelling. Like here, the like you want to see a mental institution, come to Denver and go to the downtown area. And of course, I arrived here in autumn of 2022. So this was after Denver legalized pot, and uh, so in I think 2012 or something like that. So there's a lot of factors that probably makes the homeless experience snowball and just get really bad. Like I feel like if you're an addict in Denver, you're in a suicide assisted program, assisted suicide. Like being an addicted person in Denver is just assisted suicide. And what's horrible and it pains me is that I'm watching people die day by day. Like there's really no hope. There's nothing done. Um, and it's just horrific to see so many homeless people. And they're all downtown. At least that no, they're not all downtown. They're on Colfax Avenue as well. Anyway, so but my point about this video is the injections. Are these injections triggering domestic and wild animals to attack people? Is there something inside those injections that's causing an attack response? And and also, like I was saying, people here in Denver, at least I'm noticing them just so ready to fight. And it's not just like homeless people or drunk people, tweaky people. It seems like regular people. It's not just black people, it's white people. It's not just young people, it's old people. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And of course, we've been under like a psychological attack for years now. So maybe just people are everywhere having a hard time. Although I was in Iowa in summer of 2022 and I did not experience anything that I've seen here in Denver. So I think just Denver's just it's so sad. And um, like if you don't have support and leverage, you're really in a bad place here, and nobody cares. Like I've talked to locals about it, I've talked to Christians about it, and they're like, "Yeah, this is how it is." And I mean, I wish I could do something, but I'm barely making it myself. But with the injections, there are doctors who are pointing out that it affects your prefrontal cortex, your executive decision making. So if people are having clots, mini clots here, if animals who have the injection are having mini clots in their executive functioning part of the brain, perhaps, I don't know anatomy of dogs, or bears or otter or whatever. But, could it be uh, that is causing the animal attack? And, could there be a terraforming? I mean, I believe there's a terraforming that's going on. We know that the government sprays certain stuff to repel heat from the sun because the government's worried about global warming. What else is in the spray? And so, could it, maybe it's not even an injection, it could be something that's just in the atmosphere that's uh, affecting mammals' behavior. Uh, and, domestic pets. Like, are people having bad experiences with their cats? Uh, because I'm just seeing a lot for domestic um, pet incidents. I'm seeing more dogs mauling children, family members, people in the neighborhood, in America, Australia, India. Um, and I can't, and of course, like the bears, otter, sharks, uh, those are the ones that stand out to me. So, the wild animals, either like something's happening, and it could be solar activity as well. But I really do think that um, it just like, make sure to, if you've done the injection, like, maybe take a little break. It's still not FDA approved, and you know eat a cleaner diet, and uh folks need to just be a little aware of wildlife, a little bit more aware than they're normally aware of, and probably don't get your dogs full of the pokes either. I mean, I do believe, I mean, of course you got to take care of your pets, but there's just something in the air that is a cause for concern. And of course, nobody's going to look into it. And anybody who does look into it is going to be like, oh, yeah, but it's not that. They're just going to say, oh, well, this is just how it is. And that's really annoying when the trusted agents of the public good totally drop the ball. So, anyways, thanks for watching. God bless.